Hi everyone, it's Uwak and it's another episode of the Purple Podcast. So welcome to the show. How's your week been going? How's everything? Well, this week has been cool. It has not been stressful for me. It's just okay. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving the week and I pray it finishes like this on a good note. So today we're going to be talking about a very, very important topic, a topic for all, and the topic for today is going to be reviving the reading culture. But before we go to our topic, we're going to talk about this week. And I'm still very surprised how Manchester United they surprised me. I don't know. They managed to win their match and managed to stay on the top of the table. And that's cool. It's really surprising. And then the one that surprises, it doesn't just surprise me, it really annoys me to Drake. I mean, this week I've been listening to Drake. I don't know. In fact, yesterday I had to ask someone if something was wrong with me because I think I'm obsessed right now. I've been waiting for him to drop an album because he promised us that he's going to drop an album, but now he has not done that. And it's annoying. And hopefully it will do so very soon. So you guys should sit back, enjoy your week, have fun. Those of you guys that are in school, go back to school. You guys are already in school. Attend your lectures, take them seriously, and enjoy school. Don't worry, it doesn't kill. So relax, have a seat, and please share this to somebody. Okay, share this to somebody. Send my links, like it, subscribe, comment, share to your neighbor, share to your roommate, to your parents. Let them tune in and listen. Okay, so you guys should just relax, sit back, and enjoy the show. And so, going straight to today's topic, reviving the reading culture. Today is going to be short and snappy. So, reading is the process of interpreting written language. What is that? I mean, a text, a piece of writing. When you read it, you interpret it, you understand it. That is reading. Then, reading culture is the regular reading of books and information or informative material. That's reading it regularly from time to time. It's become a culture. And what's a culture? Like how we're taught back then in the primary school, they said culture is a total way of life of people. So reading culture, that is making reading a way of life. You understand that? So making the process of interpreting written language a norm. You make reading become a norm. So that is what reading culture is. Then what are the importance of reading? Reading improves your vocabulary. Like reading improves your vocabulary. It improves the way you talk, the way you speak, your choice of words. Reading helps you do that. When you read, you get exposed to different new words, so you keep them in mind and you start to use them. So your vocabulary has increased and has become better. Then reading empowers you to associate with other people. Reading empowers you to associate with other people. When you read, what happens? I mean, you start to see things from a different point of view. You start to associate with a particular set of human beings. I mean, you gain new knowledge, and then you start to mingle with a certain type of people because you have something that can actually be equal to what they have, or even more than what they have. That's what reading does. Before we continue on the importance of reading, I think I would like to educate you guys more on the reading culture. Okay, I've got some examples. I've been caught up in different situations and type of situations whereby I sent a text to someone on WhatsApp. I've sent a text to someone, and then this guy actually sent me a voice note back asking me to tell him all I said. I mean, I sent a text to you and probably about 5, 6, 7 lines, and you asked me to explain it to you. I mean, it's right there. Can't you read it? This is what we are talking about, in case you don't understand it right now. No reading culture. You don't read. So when I send a text, you feel it's garbage and you do not read it, and you try to ask me to send you an audio version. That is it. Then there's another common one, and this common one is when people are walking or people are going somewhere. There are descriptions on the roadside, on shops, on malls, and people do not take note of that. Not because they don't want to, but because they've lost it. Nobody reads anymore, and that is quite it's really bad. Nobody reads. Nobody wants to read anymore. Everybody just wants everything to be done by the push of a button. But you don't know that to get to the stage where you had to push the button, you have to read something to get there. And so, back to what reading is. Now, reading is also a way of acquiring knowledge. Then, can you guys imagine giving someone an instruction manual and still end up asking you, or asking other people how to go about what is directly in the instruction manual? I mean, you gave these guys an instruction manual, but at the end of the day, they're still asking their friends or asking the teachers or anybody that how do we go about this, when all the directions or everything you need are in the instruction manuals. That is because there is no reading culture anymore. And then when we're also talking about reading, it doesn't just mean reading. I mean, you shouldn't just read anything. You should read something that would be beneficial to you. That is what we call the real reading culture. Some people go about reading things that do not matter. Some people read magazines, terrible magazines that are not good for you. They're not good for your health, and they end up gaining the wrong experience, getting the wrong ideas. But then you need to read educative and informative material so you can better yourself and better the society at large. And so we go back to the importance of reading. So we said reading improves your vocabulary. Then reading empowers you to associate with other people. Then reading also reduces stress. When you read, you are calm. When you are calm, you are less tensed. When you are less tensed, there's no stress. So reading reduces stress. Then reading fights depression symptoms. When you read, you have this particular peace of mind, because where do you read? You read in a quiet place. You read where there's no noise. You read where there are not much people. Perhaps in the library, and the library is where you get different type of books and where you read at ease without any disturbance. At this point in time, or whenever you are reading like this, it reduces or it fights depression symptoms. Then reading also improves your brain connectivity. By the time you keep reading, you discover that you have the ability to think at a particular pace. Your brain is fast, is sharp. You can easily relate to things that happen. Reading makes your brain sharper, makes your brain, improves your brain connectivity. Then I said reading also lowers blood temperature and heart rate. So I think that has to do with how reading reduces stress. So it lowers your blood temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate. Now, we need to understand that reading is not really about how much we read, but about how much we gain from reading. Let me say that again. Reading is not really about how much we read, but how much we gain from reading. So before you start thinking that I need to read 200 books, I need to read 5 books, I need to read 10 books, it's not just about the number of books you are reading, but it's about what you are going to gain from reading. You can read 10 books and not gain anything. You can read 10 books and gain just a line. What really matters is what you gain from the book. Okay, and then we need to read stuff. We need to read stuff that would leave an impression on us. What I'm trying to say here is, do not read for reading's sake. Don't read because they said you should read a book a day. No. That is a very wrong way of reading. We need to read good stuff that would leave an impression on us. Don't just pick up a magazine and read. Don't just pick up an adult magazine and read. Read something that you know would better you, possibly would better your field of study. So that is what I mean by reading something that will leave an impression on you. Then how do we develop reading culture? Reading culture, especially in Africa, but it's the same thing everywhere, but most especially in Africa, has reduced so low. The performance of students these days is connected to their poor background in the reading culture, which actually goes on from the primary to the secondary and then to the universities. It's from the very beginning. That's where the problem starts from. So how do you develop a reading culture? Setting time to read. 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 1 hour a day is enough to read something. You don't need to read the whole day and then kill yourself and end up being a dull boy. Don't be dull. But then you need to set time to read. So set ample amount of time. Just set time to read. Then you need to make a list of books to read. Don't just wake up one day and decide to go for just pick a random book. Just don't wake up one day and think about the book you saw in your dream and pick it up. No, you need to make a list of the books you want to read. I personally made a list this January. This same month. I made a list of the books I want to read throughout this year. Most of them are business inclined. Okay, man needs to make the moolah. So I picked some books that I wanted to read all through this year. I've only started one, but then by the grace of God, I would complete them and gain knowledge from them. So you need to make a list of books you want to read. Don't just pick something up and read. Then you need to find a quiet place to read. Most times we read in the wrong environment. We read in a very wrong environment. But for reading to be effective, you need to read in a very quiet place. Whether you like it or not, you actually need to read in a place whereby everywhere is calm and quiet, so you can assimilate and understand what you are reading. Then keeping a journal. This is quite difficult, even for me. But then I found an alternative to keeping a journal. Every phone right now, every smartphone has what they call the notepad or the notebook. I use that as my personal journal. When you read stuff, sometimes you need to jot things down so you don't forget, or you jot them down for reference purposes. So you get yourself a journal so you can jot down everything you've read. It makes things easier and better for you. Then you also need to reduce the internet or the TV. The internet actually has messed up a whole lot of people, especially the young people. The internet has, really messed them up. Then the TV, we know the TV. You want to read, you want to do something, imagine SpongeBob just comes up. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants. As old as I am, if that comes up, I tell you I'm no longer reading. That's the truth. So you need to avoid the TV. Not avoid, but just reduce the TV. Reduce the amount of time you spend watching TV. And those are the ways to develop a reading culture. So I believe if you put all of those into use, your reading life, if there's anything like that, sorry. But then if you put all of those into practice, you will discover that your reading habit would really change. You will see the change yourself, and you'll be happy for yourself. Okay, you'll be more happy within you. Then reading increases your brain power. We've talked about that. One more thing I missed out earlier was that regular reading can also slow the process of decline in memory due to age. When you are aging, your memory tends to decline. But then they say regular reading can slow the process down. When you keep reading, you retain a lot of information, and then the process begins to slow down. Instead of you starting to forget things early enough. I mean, the process is delayed a little bit. That is what reading does. Then we have some popular quotes. A lot of quotes, you guys, I know most of you guys are familiar with them. So the more you read, the more things you will know. Then we also know this popular quote: today you are a reader, tomorrow you are a leader. So it's almost the same as readers are leaders. Then there's one I really love here. It says reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting. This is by Edmund Burke. Reading without reflecting is like eating without digesting. I mean, you know what that means. Then books train your mind to imagination, to think big. Books train your mind to imagination, to think big. This is Taylor Swift. We all love her music, although I don't really like her music. But then she is saying books train your mind to imagination, to think big. Talking about think big, most of us have read that book by Ben Carson. And the story of Ben Carson is a very common story, as well as his books. And personally, in his books, I have discovered that all you have to do is to dedicate ample amount of time to read, and you will definitely discover a change over time. Ben Carson was what we will call Olodo. He was a dullard. But then he actually discovered that by the time you sit down to read something, you will definitely learn something. So that is what I learned from all of his books. Once you dedicate time to read, you would definitely discover a change in your reading habits. Then you discover that you learn something over time. With all of this said, I actually really wish we can inculcate all of this to make our reading culture, or to revive our reading culture. Look around you. Nobody's reading anymore, and it's sad. Most of the things we need to know are in books, and I'm not just talking about school books, books in general. Good books out there are being wasted. Nobody buys books anymore. If you can't even buy books, what about the hard copy? You can download them on your PDFs. There are various apps for reading of books, very good books. So I really hope with all of this, someone out there would be listening and then changes reading habits. And I told you guys today's episode is not going to be long, so thank you all for listening to this short episode, although it still looks long. And if you have been reading, you also realize that there's been a recent rise in the number of COVID-19. And guys, COVID is real. So I advise you all to stay indoors and to only go out if it's necessary. And please remember to mask up, especially so you will live long enough to keep listening to Mask Off by Future. Sorry, I was kidding. But then, Mask Off by Future, right? So mask up so you keep listening to Mask Off. But then what I'm just trying to say is that you should take care of yourself. Use your masks when you are going out because it's necessary. And then don't go out except if it's very, very important. So thank you all for listening to this episode. Please like, share, comment, give it to your neighbor, give it to your roommate, let them listen. Okay, guys. So thank you all for listening to this episode. See you next week.